evening, everyone, and welcome here for round 9 of the 2022 championship season. We're here at Savannah Speedway for the first time in 9 seasons. We're back at Savannah. Savannah has held races almost every season from season 2 to season 17 until it abruptly ended in season 18 and wasn't ever brought back in the modern era. And now it is finally back. After many attempts to get Savannah on the schedule, it is finally here. And with many skeptics about this racetrack returning, many are eager to see this racetrack back on the schedule. DJ Curtis and James Silverfox on the front row. Silverfox 2 weeks in a row on the outside pole. And, well, DJ Curtis on pole. Mercedes continuing to put DJ Curtis on pole position. And I can't even, is this like his 5th or 6th pole this season? Anyway, Curtis and Dejon Weeks, 2nd and 3rd in points. They lost a lot of ground to Jake Bassinger after Kansas. In the closing laps, both Curtis and Weeks got tangled up in an accident. Weeks tumbled to 5th in points. Curtis actually jumped to 2nd, but he lost a lot of points as well. Curtis is now trailing Bassinger 2nd in the point standings by 34, and Zayton Davidson, his teammate, is 38 back. Richard Johnson and Dejon Weeks, teammates at Monster Energy Racing, are 40 points behind. 5 drivers today could leave today with the championship lead, but Jake Bassinger holds a comfortable margin in the championship at this point. Silly season has been running rampant at this point in the year, and all it took was a few drivers signing contracts for the upcoming season, and already rumors are circling, and a lot of teams are discussing where they want their drivers to be and who they want to sign for the upcoming season. So a lot of drivers want to put in good runs today and put themselves within a good shot of getting a good ride for next season. Well, that is all for pre-race. Let's get down to start this event in what is a home race technically for Jake Bassinger. He starts 3rd today. He'll be trying to protect his big championship lead at this point in the season. 8 races down, and we have 18 races to go, 17 after this one. It's a shorter season. It's the shortest season in the modern era. DJ Curtis has moved to 2nd in the championship standings. Boy, Savannah, I cannot believe Savannah is on the schedule. 42 cars on this track for the first time ever, and they got concrete barrier around this racetrack. Used to be guardrail back in the season era. The green flag flies. The 2 Mercedes take it down in a turn 1. And Joseph Shregley in the 86 shooting down the inside. And Curtis trying to dig underneath of James Silverfox. 3 wide with the Rodriguez Racing Camrys up top. Jacob Hart, the hometown hero as well. The closest one down here to Savannah. A lot of people tip the Hart brothers to actually be a favorite to win this afternoon. And with Jacob Hart's great qualifying effort in driving a Turn Performance affiliate car, could be strong today. Dylan Schwellenberg in the 10. You know, last week at Kansas was not his weekend, and he's hoping to turn it back around. You know, he dominated Charlotte, and then you expected him to be strong at Kansas, same 1.5-mile track, but he was just nowhere in that event last weekend. Matthew Rodriguez on his outside. That's the teammate to Schwellenberg. Rodriguez absolutely dominated, led the most laps, just wasn't able to come away with the victory. James Shelley ended up coming out victorious in that one. 1 win away from 10 or more wins in his career, Shelley is, but Silverfox has taken the lead from DJ Curtis. The outside line is really strong here at Savannah. The inside line and the outside line works very well, but right now the outside is where you want to be. And Richard Johnson, the last time we raced here at Savannah, Richard Johnson went to victory lane. And, well, Richard Johnson has been very consistent this season. He's tied with Dejon Weeks in the championship standings. And Richard, it's been a really good season for him so far. And in a year where, you know, Monster Energy Racing is trying to get a driver that can back Dejon Weeks, and they're kind of prepping Tim Foster to get in that ride in the future. A lot of people believe that Richard Johnson will not be in that car for next season, but Richard is a phenomenal driver, 24 career wins, 2 championships. He's been very solid this year. He's been, quite frankly, better than Dage on weeks in qualifying. And Richard is trying to chase down Silver Fox, just creeping in ever so slowly on the 34. DJ Curtis qualified well today, but Zayden Davidson and crew did not in the 91. He qualified deep in the pack, starting out back in the 30s. He's in 36th position. Another driver that didn't qualify all too well, but is not having any problems getting to the front, that is James Shelley. Shelley is really marching his way to the lead. I'm not entirely sure where he started. I can check real quick, but Shelley started 35th, and he's already in the top 30, 10 laps in. He's to the inside of Eric Tamax. Just amazing. Here at this racetrack at Savannah, old grandstands are still here. You know, no modern grandstands at the track. This is the old grandstands that have been around since the season era. And, well, can't believe we are racing at Savannah Speedway yet again, and with 42 cars on the racetrack. Very competitive right now. Anthony Marchese in the 54, he's in the talking point for silly season along with other drivers. Who is Rodriguez Racing going to pick for their 2 cars? A lot of people believe that Anthony Marchese is on the outside looking in and has something to prove. And with CM Racing having Ryan Griffin announcing his step down from full-time, they believe that Eric Tamaxon and Alex Bianco should have a place there, but CM Racing has a big developmental driver program in the Hardee's National Series, meaning Demax and Bianco need to perform and show their case to be on the grid for 2023. Many people believe Shelley's going to be on the grid in the 71 next season. And Cole Baker also, you know, Cybertron Motorsports announced Curtis and Davidson full-time next season. And a lot of rumors, we talked about that at Richmond with Baker. Ryan Acosta in the 24, not sure where he'll end up being. But that is what has been on the talking points off the racetrack. It's silly season. Everybody's been whispering about what's going to happen for next season as teams and drivers get their plans finalized. As we look towards the front, the 30 car, Dejon Weeks, the inside of Sean Harple trying to get in the top 10. Jacob Hart losing out of a top 10 position. Matthew Rodriguez and Cody Lamas trying to work their way forward. Same with Jesse Tunner and Joseph Strigley qualified well. He's hanging in there in 6th. Dylan Schwallenberg 5th. Curtis, the pole sitter, is down to 4th. Bassinger in 3rd still. Richard Johnson continuing to close the gap on Silver Fox. 2 weeks in a row, the 33 North Border Motorsports 33 machine is inside the top 20. You know, Brandon Beal had a top 10 car with the 33 machine and slipped outside the top 10 late in the going. But this 33 organization has showed that they're improving year on year. And Bobo Jones behind the wheel of the 33 this afternoon. He's given it a good ride so far. Richard Johnson getting to the outside of James Silverfox, and no real challenge, really. Richard Johnson, James Silverfox, Season 1 and Season 5 champion. Right around the outside into the race lead. Leaders are starting to encounter lap traffic. Logan Cloud is down at dead last in the 56. So he's going to be the first car to go 1 lap down this afternoon. The one thing I want to take you through is Savannah there's been a lot of races at Savannah. If you raced in the season era, you raced at Savannah every season. And for a lot of time in the season era, Savannah held 2 races a season. So I'm not joking when I say Savannah has held a load of races in its Sony Cup Series tenure. And it's not really that surprising that the top 4 are old drivers that have been around for a long time. Experienced veterans. Richard Johnson, you know, he's been around since Season 1. James Silverfox entered in Season 5. Jake Bassinger joined the series in Season 8. And DJ Curtis joined in Season 10. A lot of experience behind the wheel of this top 4. Dylan Schwellenberg never raced here at Savannah, period. He's doing well right now ahead of Joseph Shrigley. Jesse Turner's been here before. Ran well here in the past. And Cody Lamas, this is his first time around Savannah, not for Matthew Rodriguez. And Sean Harper raced in the Hardy's National Series race here back in 2016. So he's got some experience here, and he's also been here in season 17 in his rookie season. Right now, this is the top 10 as we close in on lap 30. Still a long ways to go. This race is going to fly by in a hurry. Short track races tend to do that. 150 laps around a short track. It's not very long until you reach the end of the race. Dejon Weeks has some ground to make up after Kansas losing a ton of points, but Weeks and Monster Energy Racing believe that with time and through this endurance of a season, you know, how long of a year it is, that they'll eventually make up that ground. You know, this is a strong organization. They've been building the building every year, and as fast as that Monster Energy Racing crew has been, Richard Johnson's out front. Dejon will probably find his way to the lead here soon. Looking a little outside of the top 10, we're going to show you as much coverage as we can, because this video is going to go by quick if not, because we're going to try and take you as much through the action as possible. Hart qualified in the top 10 and had a lot of ambitions to try and win this race, given Savannah's return. He's won here in the past. And Jeffrey White in the 11 with a daring outside pass on the last lap on Vince Freeze at Richmond. And, well, that was 2 races ago. And other than that, Jeffrey White hasn't had the season he would have liked. And he's in 13th. You know, top 15s would do him well, and needs to try and start running in the top 10 if he wants to build some confidence and show what he is made of in the Curtis Racing Camp. Dom Katz in the 15. He's usually been a top 15, top 20 car week in and week out. Finished runner-up, almost won the Daytona 500 this season. And Martin Motorsports, you know, they have big ambitions about next season, and they think that's going to be their breakout year to be winning races yet again. And Chris Dodd, we talked about it last week. He will not be returning to Allen Family Racing Team next season. He's interested in staying in the Sony Cup Series, but he's also not going to rule out a run down to the Hardy's National Series full-time if the offer is good enough. Dylan Young, Ryan Griffin making up 16th and 17th. Griffin and Young would really love to be running a whole lot better. Young has not been too thrilled with his run of races in the last few weeks. And with Turn Performance Racing having 4 wins in the last 8 races, and Young not winning at all last season, well, I mean, Dylan Young desperately needs to try and get a win on the board and show what he is capable of, because the silly season market is about to run wild, and Young needs to show why he's a good candidate for a team next season. Alex Benyako and Charlie Smith, they're in 18th and 19th. And Benyako has had an inconsistent year so far, but he's hoping to try and build on that and have something to show for it. James Shelley has entered the top 20 after about 40 lap series, gained 15 positions. And he's passed Bobo Jones, Jeff James, John Arndt, Samuel England, Vince Freeze, Ryan Acosta, that's all the way down to 26. Marchese's down here, Eric DeMax, Cole Baker, Zayden Davidson hasn't made up a whole lot of places. That's the top 30. Daniel Bouchard in the Cloud 9. Was the Cloud 9, that's the Red Bull car now. And then Charles Sanford, he's not really having the performance. None of the Red Bulls are really seeming like they're that quick here today at Savannah. Noah Hart in the 13, he was hoping for a better result than where he's running right now. Peter Ronjak back here with him. Back at 33rd and 34th. Stephen Blow the 3rd. He's the last car on the lead lap in 35th. Then you got to go down to Mitchell Collins, Nick Mace. Nick Mace has had a very poor year. For him to be a legend of the sport, running in 37th is just not the performance we would expect for him. Jake West in the 96 this week. Allison Rain and Will Goss. Will Goss really struggling today, but it's still Richard Johnson out front, leading the way and pulling the margin on James Silverfox. James Shelley has just went to the outside of both the CM Racing cars of Alex Benyako and Ryan Griffin. And Shelley is on the move in car 71 by lap 50. You know, we're a third of the way through the race, and Shelley is nearly made up. He's made up 18 positions, you know, nearly 20 spots in 50 laps. He is on the move, and he's only 11 seconds back to Richard Johnson. It only takes about 18 seconds to get around this track, 18 to 19. Richard should be coming around the corner here soon. There he is, just behind Noah Hart. So Shelley has got to be probably the best car on the racetrack. If he can catch a caution, get back up, make up a lot of ground, could be in the fight to try and win today's race. You know, only one pit stop is expected today. Jesse Tunner has been a man on the move. We have not talked about it yet, but Tunner moved his way up to third and has now moved his way up to second, past of James Silverfox. Jesse Tunner has been flying out there as well. Those Turn Performance Racing Fords have been very good on this racetrack. Been looking back there at James Shelley, been not even paying attention to the battle for second. Jesse Tunner is looking for his first win of the season. In fact, everybody inside of the top 4 are looking for their first win all year. And it would do all of them a lot of good if they can get a win on the board. Richard Johnson and James Silverfox, it has been many years since they've won a race. James Silverfox at Kansas was poised to win that race there, but not entirely sure what is for Jesse Tunner. He is coming down pit road. We're getting told that it's a coolant leak, like a coolant leak on Jesse Tunner's race car, which means his engine has ran hot. He's got to try and cool that engine down, overheating on the 17 car. And Jesse Tunner is going to have to come down pit road and try and get that engine cooled down, because it's eventually going to blow up if not. It is a very hot day here in Savannah. You know, Savannah's usually ran in cooler temperatures. This race is ran at a very hot time of the year. And, well, Jesse Tunner, running second place, has yet to find victory lane this season. The defending champion has not had that very good of a year. He's outside, he came in this race in the top 10 in the point standings, but he's hovered around 12th in points. And, well, Jesse Tunner, he's going to go a handful of laps down. That is a shame for Jesse Tunner, who looked like he had a race-winning car today. This is going to move Cody Lamas up to second position. James Silverfox got passed by Lamas. He's down to third, and there's Jesse Tunner there rejoining the race. Tunner is back in 42nd, now 3 laps down. He'll be 3 laps down when the scoring corrects itself at the line. But that's the top 3. Then the pole sitter is still in 4th place. Dejon Weeks, like we mentioned, fighting his way back forward as we close in on halfway in this race. He's in 5th position, trying to maneuver around Mitchell Collins. Very tight racing there. Rodriguez, though, has the better line on the outside. That's where a lot of drivers prefer to run, is that outside line's got a lot of grip up there, but he's pushing tight in the 9. It's going to allow Joseph Shrigley to try and get down there as well. Weeks breaks away with 5th. Shrigley there. Collins in the 70, not doing them any favors. Sean Harple all over the back end of them. He's in 8th place. Making up the top 10 is Jake Bassinger, Dylan Schwellenberg. Bassinger was in the top 5. And he slowly dropped down the running order. He dropped to 10th, past Schwellenberg, back into 9th position. Now nearly 6 seconds ahead. Richard Johnson is ahead of Cody Lamas. Richard Johnson having an outstanding run this afternoon. And car 11 in 11th place right now. And how about James Shelley continuing to march his way to the front in 12th place, working over Jeffrey White to try and get 11th. Dylan Young, he's searching for his first top 10 of the season, trying to follow his teammate up to the top 10. Benyako still running in the top 15. With Dom Cass, Dodd, not much changes other than Jacob Hart slowly falling backwards. Samuel England is coming forward in the Red Bull 82. He's entered the top 20. And Charlie Smith, who was a star at Richmond in the short track race there, hasn't really translated as well here. And Ryan Griffin just trying to hang on to the top 20 places right now. Vince Freeze and Jeff James, Zayden Davidson closing in. Sean Harple has came from nowhere. Here he is to the outside of both Weeks and Curtis, and he's going to take that position away. United Emirates Racing is 3rd and 4th on the racetrack. A 180 in performance in the last handful of years for this race team. Silver Fox and Harple. We saw this performance slowly building in 2020 when Jeff James was behind the wheel of the UER cars. That 34 was getting better and better. And now with Silver Fox and Harple, a two-car organization, a lot of people were wondering how would that team perform adding a second car to that organization. And Harple has performed well, leaving Mace Enterprises when they were leaving the team, or when they were leaving at 2019. Found his footing over here at United Rents Racing, and Sean Harple is finally showing his case as a front-running driver again in the Sony Cup Series, and potentially could find victory lane with this team. Same with Silver Fox. Weeks to the outside of Silver Fox, who seems like he's struggling a little bit in the long run, and weeks goes by him. Monster Energy Racing, United Emirates Racing, Curtis Racing, Turn Performance Racing, Cybertron Motorsports, Rodriguez Racing, you name it. Those are the teams right now that are week in and week out performing phenomenally. Here they are on pit road. John Art, the 43, who got his first top 10 of the year at Kansas last week. He's on pit road. He's the first to bite and get new tires. Dylan Schwellenberg is the first of the lead top 10 drivers to come down pit road with the undercut as pit stops start to cycle out. Jesse Tunner is the race leader, and that's because he came down pit road at a very different time than the rest of the lead cars. So Tunner had fresh tires, but I expect Jesse Tunner to come down pit road again. However, we're being told that Jesse Tunner can make it to the end on fuel, but his tires, the tire wear here at Savannah, just will not allow it. And that Richard Johnson, Dylan Schwellenberg, Cody Lamas, James Fox, they are going to run Jesse Tunner down by the end of this race if they stay green. Still, there is no yellow flag in this race. It's been green all the way. We're being told that Zachary Fitzwater has been having issues on pit road. He's been on and off pit road a second time, so issues for the 22 driver. But Tunner, you know, he pitted multiple laps earlier than the field, so he's got a big lead. He's got only 3 cars on the lead lap here. Cody Lamas is trying to get his lap back. Dylan Schwellenberg pitted the earliest. We talked about that, and that jumped him all the way up to behind Richard Johnson. We're expecting this to be a net second position. Jesse Tunner, he's going to end up falling through the order if he does not pit. So if Tunner doesn't pit, he's going to lose positions anyway. So Tunner and team are liable to keep him out there as long as possible, but the win's just not going to come today. An odd strategy, you know, that he's going to have to take. It's not by preference, you know, this team's not trying to do this all the way, but that's because they had to try and come down pit road, cool the engine, and it was not ideal for this 17 crew. Lamas back on the lead lap, but here is Schwellenberg compared to Richard Johnson. 3 seconds back to Richard Johnson is the 10, and unbelievably right now, Richard Johnson has one of, if not the best cars out there. And it's been since Sonoma of 2016. Think all the way back of what you were doing back in 2016. That's when Richard Johnson last won in the Sony Cup Series. It's been a long time. 24 wins in his career. 2 championships. He's won everything but the Daytona 500. We've already said all that before. He is a legend, a king. A lot of people talk about him being the king of the sport. And well, Savannah is one of his playgrounds. He's won here 2 times. Yeah, 2-time winner. Actually, he's a 3-time winner here at Savannah. Thinking back to the history of Savannah, it's a lot of races, like I mentioned. Richard's won here 3 times, and he's looking to tie Nick Mace for 4 wins at a single racetrack. Nick Mace has 4 wins at Las Vegas, and well, Richard's trying to get a win here today to mark his 4th Savannah win, and he's cutting that margin lap after lap. Only 12 seconds back to Turner now, and well, only 2 seconds back from him is Dylan Schwellenberg. So I mean, it's not over, but Richard has a really good car right now. Dylan Young has entered the top 10 places, and attaboy to him to get up into the top 10. And he's a lap down right now. We're still waiting for everyone to kind of get their lap back because Turner is slowly falling through the clutches of the lap down cars behind him. He is just really slow. He's holding up James Orfox right now. But still, all to play for in this race. Joseph Shrigley in the 86 ran really well at Richmond, had a poor run at Kansas, but this 86 team has had a strong year. And top 10 driver in nearly every race, and he's fighting to be in the top 10 in the driver standings. And just behind him is Zane Davidson, who is struggling today in the 91. Davidson is down in 32nd position, racing with Noah Hart for 31st. And for a guy coming in this race, third in the championship, it's just not the championship fight that you would expect from a true contender this season. Zayden Davidson's been very consistent all year in getting the results he needs. And, well, 31st is just not going to cut it with 50 laps to go. Another driver who started off the season well, but, you know, the last couple of weeks has been a hit or miss. You know, Richmond was a miss, Kansas was a hit, and Savannah, very much a miss. Red Bull Racing in their past in the Sony Cup Series has won here before back in season 16. It was the Hart brothers behind the wheel. And, well, car 83, 84, and 82 struggling out there. Samuel England getting the most out of his machinery. He's in 21st. Jacob Hart, who qualified inside of the top 10 for today's race, he's in 23rd now. So the handling has fell off on this Team Velocity Ford, and he's struggling out there. He's outside the top 20, and not the run that Hart or Team Velocity would have wanted. One driver I want to talk about, Eric DeMax. This is the 9th race of the season, and DeMax has not finished in the top 10 all season. And this Zero car won the championship, not this car exactly. This the championship winning team and car was the 8 car now from 2020, but this Zero car was the 31 from 2020 all the way back then. Anyway, this is just not the performance that CM Racing would have liked from this year. And, well, they're trying to build on that. Benyako's knocking on a top 10 run. Griffin has been struggling this year as well. He's in 17th position. CM Racing and Chevrolet with GM, they're wanting to get back to fighting for titles and for wins. DeMax in the Zero, we know he finished in the top 5 in the championship with Rodriguez Racing back in 2020. And 2021 was a struggle with Mace Enterprises. Eric DeMax has had a miserable year so far. Everybody down there at CM Racing kind of hanging their heads a little bit, but the team trying to stay positive, knowing that they're working for better things for the future and trying to get this car fixed before the end of the year and back on top and winning races. Richard Johnson in the 47 will be the net leader whenever this is all said and done. He's now 7 seconds back to Jesse Turner, and 2 seconds just behind Richard is Dylan Schwellenberg. Could get a battle just like we did at Charlotte, but look no further. Here comes Dejan and Cody Lamas. Weeks and Lamas have ran up right on the back end of the 10 Camry, and Weeks is to the outside trying to make this position. Dejan Weeks, we talked about it early in the race. He was down there in 10th, trying to stay in the top 10, trying to get back in the top 10. His teammate Richard Johnson has a really good car, and watch Dejan as the race progresses. He'll fight his way back to the lead, and here he is to the outside of Weeks, or to the outside of Schwellenberg. Weeks gets that position away. And how about that? Monster Energy Racing right now, second and third. Dylan Schwellenberg dive bombing to the inside of the 30. Dejan Weeks won the battle at the beach. It was a short track then, and now a short track here at Savannah. You know, Weeks has done really well in the short tracks this season. Finished third at Richmond, won at the battle at the beach. Here he is on the podium places right now. Lap traffic is heavy ahead of them. A lot of cars racing for position a lap down. Richard trying to stay at arm's length ahead of his teammate of Dejan Weeks, who is back in third. outside of the top 5, and it's still Silver Fox. A great afternoon. Him and Strigley are probably both thrilled with their season so far. Jake Bassinger, the championship leader, continuing to be very consistent. 8th, and then his teammates of Dylan Young and James Shelley making up the top 10. Here's two drivers that can't be too happy with how they're running at this moment. Matthew Rodriguez in car 9 and DJ Curtis. Last week's winner in the 9, Matthew Rodriguez entered the top 10 in the driver standings with his win at Kansas. Well, dropped outside of the top 10 in the running order. Still a solid run, but with Dylan Schwellenberg fighting the top 5, you know, last week it was Schwellenberg running poorly. Matthew Rodriguez not running as poorly as Schwellenberg last week, but still, he wants to be up there fighting for the win and be in a mix of the top 10 run. And behind him, the pole sitter, DJ Curtis. You know, Battle at the Beach, he started on pole and led a lot of the laps there. And Curtis, I don't think Curtis led a lap today, and immediately started going backwards. And, well, all of Cybertron Motorsports, that whole team has to be very disappointed with today. Curtis is the lead driver. He's in 14th. And then Cole Baker is beating Davidson. Baker's in 28th. And then, like we mentioned, Davidson earlier in 31st. But with Curtis entering this race second in points to Jake Bassinger, about 34 points behind. He's going to lose even more points today, but we still have a little ways to go. Less than 30 to go at this point. Oh, the race leader, Jesse Tunner, spun off the bumper of Ryan Griffin. What a save. Tunner got hooked in the left rear by Ryan Griffin, and Tunner in the 17 car is on pit road. Gonna get a replay of it. Griffin just gets in the left rear and then spins him down the racetrack. What a save to keep it off the wall. But the race leader is no longer in the lead. And in fact, Jesse Tunner just drove straight through the pit lane. Didn't even stop. And he's gonna be looking for car 3 after that. I'm surprised that the team didn't pit Tunner. Surprised they didn't give him tires. Maybe they wasn't ready on the pit wall for Jesse Tunner. But, well, that has dropped him down a ways. Jesse Tunner is all the way down in, I've just seen it, there he is in 15th. He's going to lose some more positions. Next car behind him in the running order is Ryan Griffin and Dom Capps. And, well, I think Tunner is going to do all he can to keep that 3 car behind him. Well, now that Tunner has been moved away from the lead, less than 25 laps to go. Ooh, loose in the corner, Richard Johnson. Richard Johnson is 2 seconds ahead of Dejon Weeks. Weeks in the 30 for Monster Energy Racing. Teammates of that organization. Monster Energy Racing just continues to get better. One of the best teams on the grid at this point in the season. And right now, a lot of talk about what would happen. Oh, he's getting to the back end of Jacob Hart. Weeks can't be too happy. A lot of talk has been going on about what is going to happen with Richard Johnson's contract with MER. A lot of people don't believe Richard will be back at that race team for next season. Richard has been giving that team a lot of experience and supporting Dejon Weeks in his fight for the title, but Richard has been right there with Dejon, and they come in this race tied in points. And, well, very well, could Richard leave this race with a win and could end up being the highest running MER car in the point standings at this point. Could Richard Johnson be backed as the driver for the title this season? This kind of performance has been very impressive today. I don't think many people believe Richard Johnson would just come into Savannah and run and dominate Savannah. It's almost like we never left. We time traveled into Savannah, and we're back with Richard running like he did in the season era. Savannah Speedway, we went back in time right here, folks. It's just good to see that. I think Richard Johnson this season is 52 years old, and he's still taking names and running superb out there. Two-time champion could be in the talks of a third championship this season. 53 years, might I add. 53 years old, Richard Johnson. This very well may be his last hurrah to try and tie the greatest of the greats with 3 titles. Just getting ahead of ourselves. We're in the middle of May. Coming at the end of May, actually. The season ends all the way down to November. It's a long season. And, well, nobody is really that close to challenging now. Nearly 5 seconds back, Weeks has struggled with the lap cars. He's still in second position, third place. Gotta go ways back here to Dylan Schwellenberg. Weeks has pulled that margin very well. And then Cody Lamas, Joseph Shrigley. Look at this gaggle of cars. Alex Benyako and Sean Harple have closed in as well. There's a lot of cars fighting for the top 10, fighting to get in the top 5 as well. You know, you have Schwellenberg just up ahead, and then look at Shrigley to the outside. Shrigley had a career-defining season in the Hardee's National Series last season, fought for the title there, took that momentum into the Sony Cup Series this season with Horizon Group. That Pontiac team. Shrigley to the outside, making that pass into 4th. Dylan Young, who hasn't had a top 10 all season. He's the outside of Lamas for 5th. Benyako, who is also out of the top 10 for majority of the race. He's knocking down the doors and looking for a top 5. Jake Bassinger losing position. There's Harple to the outside of him. Shelley's in 10th, looking for 9th. Sorfox has been in the top 10 all day. He's down to 11th. Matthew Rodriguez and DJ Curtis making up the top 13. And a little ways back is Richard Johnson. Ryan Griffin just up ahead of him. 15 cars on the lead lap with 10 laps to go. The outside line continues to move. Harple passing Lamas and Shelley to the outside of the championship leader, pushing Bassinger back into the 10th position. 3rd place all the way down to 10th has been very intense to watch. Shrigley's jumped to the inside line to try and pass Chris Dodd. Monster Energy Racing currently on pace to get their first ever 1-2 finish as an organization. And I don't believe many would have expected it to be in this order. Richard Johnson and Dejon Weeks. With 3.5 seconds back, I don't see Weeks closing that gap on Richard. There he is in the middle of the corner as Weeks enters it. And go a ways back here to Dylan Schwellenberg with Shrigley just on his back end. Alex Benyako racing with Dylan Young. That's for 5th place. Young passes him. Dylan Young. What a great run today for Dylan Young. He needs this right now to turn his season around. Side by side with Benyako, but Chris Dodd's holding him up. The championship leader of Jake Bassinger trying to keep Cody Lamas behind him. Side by side, some great and intense battles here. Further back inside the top 10. Harple, Shelley, Young, Benyako, they're just nose to tail. Young on the back end of Dodd. Dodd is really holding up Young. And then Bassinger just continues to pinch Cody Lamas down. Shelley qualified 35th, and he's looking for a top 5. Schwellenberg looks comfortable for 3rd. Shrigley looking good for 4th. Shrigley could possibly pass Schwellenberg to get on the podium. But that 5th position is looking hotly contested. Benyako holds it. Harple up the middle. Shelley trying to keep them all back. A big scrap behind here. Lamas looks like he's going to hold everyone behind for a top 10 position. But we look further back with 3 laps to go now. Richard Johnson is keeping Dejon Weeks more than 2 seconds back. Unbelievable. A lot of people were very skeptical of coming back to Savannah we raced at this track about 20 times in a span of 16 seasons. And, well, a lot of good moments, a lot of highs, but it has been a struggle to get this track reconfigured to get 42 cars on this racetrack. Many people have worked hours to get this track prepared for a 42-car grid, and Richard Johnson, the most winning driver here at Savannah, looking to add another victory. Unreal. It has been 6 years since Richard Johnson has won. Weeks is within less than 2 seconds now, but it's going to come up too little too late. Richard Johnson going back to victory lane in the Sony Cup Series, taking the honors at Savannah. Richard Johnson wins his 25th Sony Cup Series race, his 4th win at Savannah, and he ties DJ Curtis and Luke Martin for 2nd all-time on the wins list, only 11 wins behind Nick Mace for the most wins all-time. Weeks was coming at the end. He had a fast car. He was closing the gap on Richard. But it was Richard Johnson absolutely dominated the race. And that's the trends lately. The trends lately every race. There's usually somebody that's just absolutely dominating the race and winning. It didn't happen at Kansas. It didn't really happen at Richmond either. You know, it was hard to pass there. Bassinger led the last 60 laps, but, you know, it's been a trend lately that once you get out front, you absolutely dominate. And that's what Richard Johnson did today. Returning to victory lane, the 53-year-old veteran, Richard Johnson, showing his potential to try and fight for the title this season, closing the gap. And now he's the lead driver at Monster Energy Racing, in terms of points at least. And who knows, could we see Richard as a 3-time champion? You know, he's got that win under his belt, and he performed great last year. If he can keep that run up and keep what he's doing this year, who knows? Could be in the scrap to win it. The podium today is Johnson, Weeks of Monster Energy Racing 1-2, and then Joseph Shrigley in 3rd. You know, Shrigley owns JSR, so that's got to be a happy podium right there. And Dylan Schwellenberg in 4th. A good points day for him. Really good on the short tracks, and overall it's been a great year for Schwellenberg at Rodriguez Racing. Could be a strong favorite down the line in this 2022 battle. Alex Benyako continuing to drag that dog of a car of CM Racing into the top 5. And if that team ever gets it figured out, Benyako is going to be a force to be reckoned with. Shelley in 6th from starting 35th. What a job by him. 29 positions moved up. The championship leader continues to be very solid. In 7th position for him. Harple, another good run today in 8th. Lamas, you know, he missed a little something there at the end. Maybe he lost out on a bad line. He kept getting pinched by Bassinger on the inside. Not really where he wanted to be. He finishes 9th. And Dylan Young gets his first top 10 of the season. At one point, it looked like he was going to get a top 5. But Dylan Young will settle for a 10th place finish. He'll be pretty happy with that, I believe, to finally get back in the top 10 and be racing with those guys up there at the front. Well, that was Savannah. And Savannah, I think this is also Charlotte, Richmond, Kansas, and Savannah. We didn't have any DNFs today. No yellow flags. All 42 cars finished today. This is the first time since Season 1 that we've went 4 races in a row, and every car has finished the race. Very crazy. You know, Season 1 was a very clean season if you think about it looking back. Every year, you know, there's at least one DNF here and there. You don't go you do not go more than 3 races with everybody finishing. It just doesn't happen. This has been 4 races in a row. All 42 cars made it to the checkered flag, and that's a good feat to see. Well, next race we go to New Hampshire. So another flat track, but it goes up to 1 mile in length, and that'll start really, the summer stretch of races and silly season is probably about to start getting even more intense as we go into our summer races of this year. Congratulations to Richard Johnson on getting that victory today. Let's go to the finishing results and standings.